Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are unpacking one of the most bizarre and diabolical criminal cases in American history. We're talking about a pizza delivery man, a bomb locked around his neck, and a deadly public countdown. This is the absolutely insane story of the pizza bomber heist.
Okay, let's dive into this twisted tale. We're going to start where it all began, with an impossible robbery and a man whose time was literally running out. So picture this. It's a quiet August afternoon in Erie, Pennsylvania. A pizza delivery man named Brian Wells walks into a bank. But this isn't your average delivery. No, this was the start of a terrifying and very, very public countdown to death.
That was the chilling demand from 46-year-old Brian Wells. Now you have to understand, this was just a quiet pizza guy. No criminal record, nothing. But on this particular day, he was a human time bomb, with this heavy, crude metal collar locked tight around his neck.
And just look at how quickly everything escalated. I mean, this is terrifyingly fast. In just 48 minutes, this whole thing went from a bank robbery to a public execution on live TV. Police had him surrounded. He's sitting on the pavement handcuffed, pleading that he's a hostage. He's begging them for help as this thing around his neck starts beeping faster and faster until it explodes.
So the device was absolutely real. His death was real. But the story Brian Wells told right before he died, that he was just an innocent victim, well, that was only the very beginning of this deep, dark mystery.
To even begin to understand how a plan this monstrous came together, you have to meet the people behind it. And as you're about to see, the masterminds were somehow even more twisted than the bomb they built.
So at the very center of this whole web, we have Marjorie Dial Armstrong. We're talking about a woman with a near-genius IQ, but her life was just this downward spiral of severe mental illness, intense paranoia, and a real talent for manipulating everyone around her. She was the twisted brain of the operation.
Then there was her fishing buddy, Kenneth Barnes. He was a local drug dealer, kind of a neighborhood tough guy who would do pretty much anything for the right price. He was the recruiter.
And finally, we have Bill Rothstein. He was Marjorie's ex-boyfriend, a quiet, really intelligent handyman who became the plot's crucial enabler. Why? Because he was the one who actually built the bomb.
And you really have to understand, this whole pizza bomber thing, it wasn't Marjorie's first brush with violence, not by a long shot. Her life history reads like a Black Widow's diary. I mean, from car crashes to suspicious drownings, and yeah, even a boyfriend's body found stored in a freezer. Death just seemed to follow the men in her life.
So you might be thinking this was all just a really, really messed up bank robbery. But the truth? The truth is so much more sinister. It was never really about the bank at all.
So why? Why this incredibly elaborate, deadly bomb plot? Well, the $250,000 heist was never the real goal. It was just seed money. See, Marjorie was convinced her wealthy father was wasting her inheritance, so she hired Kenneth Barnes to kill him. The bank robbery was just their way of getting the cash to fund a murder.
But here's the crazy part. The whole plan was a spectacular failure. I mean, look at this. Instead of the $250,000 they needed for the hitman, Brian Wells walked out of that bank with less than $9,000. Their grand, deadly plan failed before it even really got started.
And this brings us right back to the man at the center of it all, and the most debated question of the entire case. Was Brian Wells an innocent victim, or was he a willing participant who just got in way over his head?
So how did they even find this guy? Well, the link between the conspirators and the pizza guy was an escort named Jessica Hoopsick. Kenneth Barnes asked her to find them a pawn for a job, someone kind of timid they could easily control. And she immediately thought of one of her clients, Brian Wells.
The truth seems to be just tragically complicated. You see, Wells wasn't a completely innocent victim. Evidence suggests he knowingly agreed to be part of the robbery. But, and this is the huge part, he was lied to about the most crucial detail of all. He believed the bomb was a fake. By the time that thing was locked around his neck, he realized he wasn't an accomplice anymore. He was the bait.
So the plan was a total disaster, and with Brian Wells dead, you'd think the case would go ice cold. And it did. For a while. Until a totally unrelated 911 call came in and broke the whole thing wide open.
Just 3 weeks after the bombing, Bill Rothstein, the guy who built the bomb, made this absolutely stunning confession to the police.
Now get this, the body in the freezer, it belonged to Marjorie's latest boyfriend, who she killed after an argument over money. Rothstein was just helping her get rid of the body.
In this bizarre, unbelievable twist, it was this separate, messy murder that gave police the one loose thread they needed to pull to unravel the entire intricate pizza bomber conspiracy.
And once Rothstein started talking, the dominoes just began to fall, one after another. The conspirators all turned on each other to try and save themselves, and the full, insane picture of the plot finally came into focus. But in the end, there were no winners here. Marjorie and Barnes both died in prison. Rothstein died of cancer before he could even be charged. A dark fate was waiting for pretty much everyone involved.
And so we're left with this haunting question about Brian Wells. Was he a criminal who just got caught up in his own game? Or was he a naive fool who was manipulated into becoming the star of his own public execution? He agreed to commit a crime, there's no doubt about that. But did he agree to die for it? Absolutely not. And it's that moral gray area that makes the pizza bomber heist one of America's most unforgettable and disturbing crimes.